WFG recently settled a class action lawsuit, approximately $65 million. You address this with new clients who see pyramid scheme allegations.
Name me one business when someone is not making money out of another person. Uber. That's a pyramid scheme.
This the groove, now it's showtime.
Welcome to the Don't Blame the Leads podcast, the second best podcast in all of life insurance. Today, we have a very special invited guest from World Financial Group. Everybody, welcome Pedro.
Thank you for having me, Jerry.
Thanks for coming.
Happy to be here.
And I'm so happy that you're here, man. I know this is going to be a really good episode. I really feel like we're going to dive into some things because I know you're not scared. You're one of the few unafraid insurance agents with integrity out there. So, matter of fact, let's just dive right in. So, Pedro, you branded yourself the Primerica Exposer. That's hilarious, by the way. Is your primary issue with Primerica their product or with term, or is it their leadership model?
None of the two. My main problem for Primerica, if you allow me, it's not their product. I believe in term policies. Has some more term than any other product. It's not that term policy. It's their term policies. One, no living benefits, if I'm going to go there. But my main issue is that they don't brand themselves as the term guys. They brand themselves as the replacers guys. So their training is not about helping you with term, but I'm gonna replace you. And Julian, I dove into why they're like that, and so I studied Art Williams and the Primerica beginnings, the genesis of Primerica, and I talked about this in a live a couple of days ago. Since everything started because Art Williams, his dad bought a whole life with Penn Mutual, I think it was, and when he passed away, a cousin of his told him, "You know what, Art, you knew that." How much you got on your dad's policy, life insurance? And he said something. So you know that if you would have bought a term policy with the same premium that you put, you would have gotten this more amount on that benefit, and the rest you could have put it in the market, and then you would have a investments on the side. So that's where the buy term and invest the difference. And if you understand the concept. What is the difference? It's the difference between the term policy and the whole life. It's not buy term and invest. It's buy term and invest the difference. So there's a replacement guide, how to replace permanent product for a term policy. So from the genesis, their training is not about, let me help you with a term policy. It's let me help you get out of your permanent policy. That is my issue. Especially if you don't understand the products, you're replacing something that you fully don't understand, and you're asking questions that you know what answer you're going to get from the client and the carrier so that you can replace the product. So that is my main issue.
I never thought of it that way. And it's so crazy. I'm actually angry inside right now that I never thought of it that way. When the whole premise of buy term and invest, there has to be a difference for you to invest a difference. And that is a very replacey. I never. That's a very good point. Okay, so when a prospect tells you my Primerica guy showed me I can retire richer with a mutual fund and term insurance, what is the specific math or script you use to dismantle that argument?
None, because I'm not against it. I'm not against buy term and invest. I'm against getting a term policy, expensive term policy, with no living benefits and mutual funds full of fees, loaded with fees, that at the end is not going to help the client. But the whole concept of getting a cheap term policy and put as much as you can into this retirement vehicle or investment vehicle, I'm pro. Yeah, go ahead. Do that. Let me help you do that. Once you're used to, and now you have an extra income, let me help you put that in another basket, which might be a whole life, an IUL, or you did this and now you have enough money that you want to invest in real estate. I'm not against investments and term policies. I'm against a one size fits all. Everyone's going to fit here. No one else is going to do it on the other side. IULs are bad. Nah, that's not my thing.
I agree.
I'm not a replacer. I would keep you on the buy term and invest, and then help you get better financially so you can do IULs too.
That's that's really smart. That's legit. All right, so WFG and Primerica. All right, they share a similar lineage, if you were to say that.
100%.
Why would you view WFG as the evolution and Primerica as the dinosaur?
Because the same concept. I think Primerica shoot themselves on the foot when they say we're only going to do term. Because back in the days, back in the 70s, it made a lot of sense to invest in the market and replace whole life. Whole lives were horrible back in the days, full of fees. They were very, very bad policies back then. I think Hubert Humphreys, when he left Primerica and actually created WMA, he saw, I mean, we can still do buy term and invest inside of one product, VUL at a time. And now we can do the same thing they do, but more. So that's why I think they're the dinosaur, because they stayed in that, they boxed themselves, and now they can't get out because they're the permanent product haters. So now there's nothing you can do. Your whole model, your whole concept boxed you in a way that you're screwed. And we, on the other side, we're the brokers. I help you with the term, with your final expenses, with your IUL, with your whole life, with your VU, whatever you need. I'm not going to put my bias onto you, Mr. Client. I'm going to hear you, see what you want, and try to get you to your goal as better as possible with any product that we have available. So that's why I think they're the dinosaur and they're screwed, and they're not going to survive, especially nowadays with social media. Everything is exposed now.
Yeah. Ooh-wee. Okay, so we got to address a few headlines since you're a WFG guy, just to kind of clear the air. WFG recently settled a class action lawsuit, approximately $65 million, regarding agent misclassification. How do you address this with new clients who Google WFG and then they see pyramid scheme allegations and things like that in the search results?
I think that allegation, if I'm not mistaken, came from California, and it was they opened a can of worms. It's just because we're branded as agents, but also employees of WFG, but we're not, because we're all 1099. So I think there was an agent that actually said, you know what, if I'm an employee, if I'm an agent of WFG, where's my salary? Where's my pay? And that was the lawsuit. And I think it was a win. So WFG had to pay out because, so they had to rechange all the contracting. Good. By the way, I'm not WFG can't take it, but it changed it. You know what I'm saying? It was a good thing because now everything is a better brand, and let's be more honest when we recruit people in. That's why we can't say we're hiring, because I'm not going to pay you. You're 1099. I cannot hire you because I'm not going to pay you a salary. I can recruit you, not hire you. And the
bring you on
thing, bring you on, expanding my team. I'm expanding, I'm recruiting, however you want to word it, as long as you don't use the word hiring. Hiring implies payment.
Yep.
I'm not going to pay you anything.
Yep.
Pay you with my time. I'll give you my time. That's as much as I can pay. And the pyramid scheme, Julian, it's going to happen. It's bound to happen. People don't understand. They think that anyone that can make $1, which is crazy. I'm going to tell you a story about this. Anyone that makes $1 out of another person, that's got to be a pyramid scheme. But I always ask the question, name me one business when someone is not making money out of another person, especially when they're new. One. And I give you $100 right now. And they try to come up with, any business, any business out there, any enterprise, someone is going to make money out of you, and they're going to pay you the least amount possible to keep profits. If they're paying you more than what you bring on the table, they're going to go out of business. So they're going to give you at least possible to keep you happy, and profitable. So, and when I do this, I remember one time about a year ago, this guy comes to me, one of my agents said, Pedro, you know what? Since I'm in training, ask one of my buddies, see if he can do a meeting with us so I can get trained, those
Mhm.
10 meetings that we always do.
Uh-oh, Pedro, I lost you. Oh, no. I lost you for a second there.
Was it me or was it you?
I'm not sure, but I can edit it.
Perfect. So let me go back to so this guy comes to Pedro, mind you, he just got the job that he was been looking for. He went to school for 4 years. He wants to do something about computing design, something like that. But he offered those 20, 30 minutes. But don't try to recruit him. He's not going to do anything. He probably going to get a policy, but right now he just started the job. So it's just a training practice. And I was okay. So I go into this meeting. This guy, it's not even facing me. He's like sideways. I'm right here. He's just looking at a computer screen right here. And we're talking. And it's like blah blah. And I try to explain and I do the presentation and the model and everything. He turns around and said, that's a pyramid scheme. And I'm like, same question. What is a pyramid scheme? Oh, someone's making okay, multi-level and everything. So name one business that is not a pyramid scheme. And well, same thing. Just still hesitating. And then I ask him a couple of minutes later, what do you do in your spare time? Oh, I do Uber. And I'm like, that's a pyramid scheme. No, what do you mean? You don't think Uber, the platform, is making a percentage of every time you do a ride? You don't think they get a percentage to keep a percentage? Dude, he was looking like this. I was right here. The moment I said that, he looked up and swiveled chair. You got my attention. Signed up, got licensed, and boom.
That's
No kidding. It was boom.
That's funny. You know, I'm really glad that you brought all of that up. Like first and foremost, and I'm sure you know this, but anyone watching this, WFG is not the only company who's had class action lawsuits against them for the same thing. A lot of these companies, especially like some captive companies out there, those companies often. Now, I'm not even talking about WFG, but a lot of the companies will often recruit in non-compliant ways. And so that, just like the hiring thing that you were talking about, that has tripped a lot of companies up. I've seen FFL have class action lawsuits regarding several things, but I knew there was a complaint. I'm going to say allegedly because I can't remember where it was, but I can research it after this. But there was a complaint or some kind of suit for FFL like that too. So it's just important to remember that. And even the MLM conversation, like, I don't know, there's so many different ways to tackle that too. Cause there are companies like one of them, I'm not going to name the company. They were selling like vacation packages, but that was like the true, I'm sure you've heard of it. That was like the true, like, okay, to be a member in this, you have to buy in. Ooh, I'm spitting everywhere. I have to edit that out. Okay, to be a member of this, to be a member of this company, you have to buy in, and then you have to get your friends to buy in, and then when they buy in, they can get other people to. I mean, that's different. In life insurance, you don't have to buy a policy if you don't want to sell it. You got an actual license. You can not do anything, and also
We don't get paid by recruiting.
yeah, you can have 100
assume
agents.
that we get paid for recruiting. And people have paid. What do I get paid if I recruit someone? Headaches. Headaches. That's what you get. They're gonna come at you say, I don't want to recruit. I'm introvert. I'm an extrovert. I don't like talking to people. I don't like selling. So changing the mindset and paradigms. That's what you're gonna get in the first 2 years. A lot of headaches.
It is. It is. Anyhow, it's very good
Yeah.
point. Very good points. A common critique is that WFG agents make more from overrides recruiting than personal production. If you stopped recruiting today, could your business survive solely on your personal client sales?
100%. My first 2 years, I recruit two person, my mom and my girl. That's it. I didn't want to recruit because I didn't. That was my thing when I first joined. I said I don't want to recruit. I came from managerial position. I was in charge of a lot of people before I got into WFG, so I didn't want to deal with people. I didn't want to manage. I don't want to nothing. Just want to sign policies, get signed, get paid, be done. I didn't want any responsibilities whatsoever. So I didn't recruit for the first 2 years. So yes, just give me a piece of paper and a pen, bro. I can make it happen. I'm my own best personal producer. My agents know that, but
Nice.
I want to stop. That's why I'm where I'm, and I'm happy where I am because I have a system that allows me to, at some point in 5 years, I'm out. I'll show
That's
you the
very
way.
powerful. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, my first, I mean, I tell my agents all the time, use me and abuse me because in 5 to 10 years, if you don't get anything that is in here, it's gone. I'll send you all of you a picture in case you miss me. You can look at the picture. You'll never see me again. I'll come back once a year. We're gonna do our thing, and then I'll be gone. I'll be in Italy, Spain, just traveling the world. That's the main idea. That's a dream.
That's
I
beautiful.
don't wanna. I don't see myself at 70 writing policy. You're crazy.
No way. No. No way. No. Not the way this industry's chewing people up. Not everybody, but you know. So there have been high profile lawsuits like NASCAR driver Kyle Busch alleging that IULs were sold as tax-free retirement but imploded due to fees. How do you structure your policies to guarantee, well, there's no such thing as a guarantee, but how do you structure your policies to make sure your clients don't face a lapsing policy at the age of 80?
Minimizing the cost of insurance, meaning if it's for cash accumulation, the minimum amount of death benefit possible. So the least amount of your premium goes into the cost of insurance. But you know that Kyle Busch, that case, and we're going to talk about that case in particular very fast. I always say this, we got to go back to that agent. And I'm pretty sure allegedly everywhere, everything that we say is allegedly. We got to go back to that agent. And I'm pretty sure Kyle Busch and this agent went to school together, and Kyle bullied this guy. Because there's no way that you designed this policy, did 4 1035s within 5 years. Everything that you can do wrong for your client with the policy, he did it for Kyle Busch. Allegedly everywhere. Everything that we say is allegedly. He did it for Kyle Busch. So there's had to be a personal vendetta. There's something that Kyle Busch did to this guy and he doesn't remember, because there's no way someone was maliciously so bad against you and the product without any personal vendetta on the back end, in the background. So I would go and see who this guy is. If they went to school together, probably Kyle Busch stole a girlfriend. I don't know that, but there has to be a background story. There has to be a backstory on these two people, because he was, I mean, the product is going to do what the product is going to do. But this guy did everything he could to prevent the policy. Allegedly everywhere. Everything that we say is allegedly. But this guy did everything he could to prevent the policy, to get some traction. Every time the policy gets some traction, he did a 1035. Now all fees, new commissions going in. So I don't know for what reason. I really don't know, but it wasn't the product. It was a very bad agent. Very bad agent.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you said that. Like, you know, I think, you know, I did some research on this case, but I didn't do a lot. Like, I didn't do a lot of research on the case, but when I see bad IULs, normally I would have assumed that this agent was just uneducated. But to know that they did all these 1035s, oh yeah, that was some on purpose type of stuff. Well, you know, allegedly Allegedly. I don't know. I wasn't there. These are my thoughts, my feelings, my opinions. Let me say all of that.
Can we put on the when you do this podcast, allegedly everywhere? Everything that we say is allegedly.
Allegedly.
No, it says allegedly. Yeah.
Allegedly.
It was.
But
I
I
thought
see
it was the
that.
premium finance going wrong. When I first
That happens a lot.
thought about it, when I started it, I thought it was a premium finance going bad. But then when I read the court documents, and Pack Life too. I mean, Pack Life was in the game too because suitability should have stopped all those 1035. So they're gonna get what they deserve. Both the agents and both Pack Life, and that's only gonna make our industry better. People think I'm not against WFG getting sued. I'm not against all carriers getting sued. I'm not against agents getting sued. I'm 100% pro it. It can only make the insurance better because I say it all the time. I feel like I'm here. I'm exposing myself against all these bad agents from that one company that we talked about earlier, explaining how the IUL is actually not the evil like they make it seem. But then I have agents in the back backstabbing me, doing bad IULs and not doing what's right for the client and selling $100 a month IUL. Forget about mutual funds, forget about 401k, forget about all this, and just to put all your money on an IUL. And especially if you're gonna do that, don't target the policy. Don't kill your client. I mean, he's trusting you. He really wants to. He wants to retire eventually, and all he can do is $100 a month, $200 a month, and you're helping him with an IUL. Really? And what's crazy, Julian? If I open an IUL and I properly structure for $300 a month, which I don't do, but let's say I do, and I open a term policy, and this IUL it has $100,000 in death benefit, and I sell him a term policy with $1 million in death benefit, I'm going to pay the same amount of dollars. So financially, makes no sense whatsoever to do an IUL for $300 or $100 a month. And now, why don't you take the extra step? You're not probably, most of us are not securities licensed, but tell your client, Mr. Client, now we can go to Vanguard. We can go to everything that we're saving. We can go to Vanguard. We can go to, I forgot the name of the other that I always take my clients to. And let's open you a Roth IRA. And let's do that for a year or two. So you're used to saving, you're used to money being taken out of you, and you feel comfortable with that. And then we have a conversation. And then you know what's going to happen? They're going to refer more people.
Yeah.
You know where you're not going to get referrals? When you do your policy reviews and they see $0,000,000,000,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in, $10,000 in, and they're still got no liquidity.
Yep. You're making some pretty amazing points. You know, something you said too, and this wasn't even one of the questions I was going to ask you, but you said something about properly structured. And I see often online, one of the biggest arguments that I've seen people, you know, take up is what's properly structured, or there's another guy. Glad I said guy. I was going to say something else. There's another guy out there who will ask a company like, what's properly structured? Is it properly structured? Can you explain to anyone watching why it is disingenuous, or why is it like a trick question to ask what is properly structured?
Because properly structured means nothing without a context. What is this properly structured means what is properly structured to your goals. Every plan has to be properly structured. If you open a 401k and you're 25 and you allocate it in those target date funds for a conservative, that plan is not properly structured for your goals. Same thing happens with an IUL. Okay, Mr. Client, what are you looking to do? What do you want your IUL to do? You want accumulation, you want death benefit. You can't have them both. You cannot have them both unless you're blending inside a policy. But let's say, for sake of argument, I want cash accumulation. Then your death benefit has to be dropped to the floor as much as possible for the amount of premium that you're putting in. That is properly structured to you. But Pedro, I'm 55 and I'm looking for permanent coverage, and I want a GUL or a PUL or an IUL. Now, but I want coverage. I don't care about accumulation. If there's some accumulations in there. I'm not going to use it. In fact, there are customers that actually make their policy. They actually make because they don't care. They're not going to touch the cash value. They just want the most amount of that benefit possible. So they're going to make the policy on purpose. And that's properly structured for them. So properly structured has to have a context. What are you want that policy to do? What are you want your plan to do? Call it 401k, IRA, Roth IRA, any plan that you do, anything, any whole life, IUL. Properly structured means let's set this plan according to your goals and let's see it. Let's hope for the best. No plan would guarantee you. We can only hope for the best.
So let me ask you this then, based on what you just said, would it be fair to assume, or would it be fair to say, if there was a Primerica agent out there and they were doing a buy term invest the difference strategy, that strategy would also have to be properly structured?
100%. Julian, do you know what's crazy? I've done lives and I asked them, can you run a dime on me? Dime method.
Dime method.
So I'm a brand new age. I'm brand new. I'm one of your clients, brand new. I don't know nothing. Run a dime method on. They don't know that simple, basic dime method. 1 year into the company. You know why, Julian? Because they're not trained on term policies. They're trained on what to say, what to ask to replace your IUL.
That's
But
crazy.
ask them what's the trick questions or key questions to ask a client that has an IUL. Cost of insurance goes up every year. It's an annual renewal term. They don't understand that is not true. But those are the questions they will ask. It's very disingenuous calling a company and say, oh, is this, can you say to the client on the other, is this a properly structured policy? That other person is a paid salaried caller. I mean, that's not an agent. Most of the time, it's not even an agent. It's
And
just
even still, they never sat down with the
receptionist.
client to know, even if they were an agent, they didn't sit with the client to know what that client's income is. What does that client want?
That discovery conversation. What was the conversation? Oh, Mr. Client, did he tell you that there was going to be cost? Probably, yes. But you know what? And this is amazing because you know this. You've been in the industry for so long. Clients lie. The clients
Buyers are
lie.
liars. Buyers are liars.
Buyers are lying. How many times, Mr. Klein, how's your health? Oh, perfect. Dude, I'm a stud. Nothing. Oh, really? So you're taking the medication? Yeah, a couple of 3 or 4. Okay, tell me more about those 3 or 4. That's what I tell my agents when I train them. Don't ask your client how's their health. You ask them, how many pills are you taking today? You take any pills a day? When was the last time you had surgery? You have had anything relevant in the past 4 or 5 years?
Yeah.
And they're still gonna lie.
Yep.
So that's why, and when you're taking your exam, everything that the client says is taken by the company as forgot the word. It's not.
Oh,
You remember? It's not binding. It's
I know what you're talking about. It's
not a guarantee.
yeah.
It's
I
not.
forgot the word.
Me too.
I know
5 minutes, I'll remember. 5 minutes, I'll remember.
After we get off of this, we're both gonna be like,
we're like sending out text to each other. But that was it. So clients
Nah, but
lie. So calling the company just to see how much money they're gonna access. Why don't you call your 401k and ask them if you know what, if I can I take 90% of my money tax free or anything in the next 4 years, and let's see what they say.
nice.
We'll know.
Yeah.
I've talked to Jonathan and a lot of people about this. We know so much about products now that if I wanted to, I can rip apart any product. I know the pros and cons of every product. So I can call and rip apart a term policy. I can rip apart a whole life, an annuity. I know the weak points. I know the Achilles heel on every product.
Yeah.
Focusing on the Achilles heels of every product is disingenuous. At the end of the day, you're not helping your client.
It's so crazy that you say that too. I held a training with my team over term. I was talking about term, and there was somebody who came from I forgot this company, do the something. I don't know those guys over there. But the person that came from that company, and they were telling me all this bad stuff about IULs. And I said, listen, the stuff that you're seeing online, it's to get views, and it's also to get clients to, replace, or I mean, the technical term is twisting, but allegedly. Um,
Allegedly, it's not twisting if it's true.
right. But
Mhm.
because it's so subjective and it's so client by client, you can kind of get away with certain things. And I was telling them, like, when my
Representations. That was the word. I'm sorry.
everything the client says is a
I had to
representation.
look it up.
No, you're right.
Representations
You're
and
right.
guarantees.
Representation. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So no, but what I was saying is that I came from a company that only mainly did whole life when I first started in the business. So I was taught pretty much everything that person says that holds the phone up and does all that stuff. I was taught all that stuff. In fact, there's stuff he hasn't said that I used to say. I have never heard him
Don't
say some of
say
the
it.
stuff I was trained on. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. But I was taught the Achilles heel of term, IULs. I even know how to dismantle an annuity. Every good thing has a bad side too, but it's really what is going to be best for that individual client that you are sitting there and servicing that matters. So
In a
anyway,
specific one.
Dave Ramsey argues that IUL fees and caps on returns make them inferior to the S&P 500 over a 30-year timeline. What is your direct counter argument to the buy term and invest the difference crowd, even though we've kind of been talking about it?
None. It is true. It is true. You cannot always think about it this way. Let's say that we actually capture all the gains on the S&P 500. There's still going to be a drag because of insurance. I mean, if you invest in a brokerage account, there's always going to be, can't compare brokerage to an S&P. Just like for all those people out there, ETFs is more efficient than mutual funds. If you don't care, if you hate so much fees on an IUL, why are you putting your money, your client's money in a mutual fund, knowingly that ETFs is more tax efficient and less fees on it? So if we're gonna capture the actual gains on the market, ETFs is more efficient than a mutual fund. And you knowingly put all your clients in mutual funds when you know there's fees and that too. So I agree with the SM. We're never going to beat the SM. We're never going to beat the market on the side of an IUL, but we're not trying to. If we're good agents, we're not trying to beat the market. We're just adding another safety net for our clients. In case this drops, we got all this. It's still keeping us afloat. And when you're in retirement, you retire from your 401k, IRA, mutual fund, whatever. You retire from your qualified account. When the market corrects, stop there, hemorrhage, and now draw from your cash value life insurance. When the market goes up again, stop it in here and go back to the market. So that's a strategy. It's a plan that we're trying to do. It's not, let's beat this and the other. Never, Juliet, you never want to be in a corner where you have to choose between one thing or the other. If you're in that moment, you're in that position, you did something wrong. It's and never, or. It's always adding extra.
Something you just said just reminded me. I saw a video from a live rather, where you were debating some people and you were talking about the cost of insurance in the buy term and invest the difference strategy. You'd said, I guess the people were saying, you know what, break it down. They were saying that the cost of term insurance is not part of the cost of insurance in that strategy because you're looking at this other part. Can you elaborate on that and kind of explain? Because they weren't trying to let you talk.
Yeah, it kind of became my trademark on that when I did two gotchas on two very loud people from the buy term and invest difference. So I got him with this, and it's funny because they say, well, it's never that amount, but it's funny that I asked about this specific amount, and three people from the same company gave me the same answer, but they're not trained about that. Disclaimer, my upline, the person that brought me into the business, was an RVP, was a Primerica RVP. So I know Primerica, I know, and I've said this millions of times. So that's how I know what they're going to say. But going back to the question is, if we're going to compare apples to apples, buy term and invest versus an IUL, we talked about is cost of insurance. There's a drag on the IUL, which is cost of insurance. So the internal rate of return on an IUL is always going to be smaller than just an investment because of the drag of the cost of insurance and all the fees in the policy. But they're forgetting that when we do buy term and invest as a strategy, then you have to add the cost of insurance as a drag to on the whole strategy. Because if I give you $300 and you're telling me that $100 is on a term policy, I'm only investing $200.
Mm-hmm.
Amazingly, a third of my pool of money, it's going to be cost of insurance.
Okay.
Fixed cost, which is a term policy. No policy, no IUL, no whole life, a third of the whole premium is going to be just cost of insurance.
That made a lot of sense to me. It made a lot of sense.
A lot of people, and people were, it was blinders. We didn't see it until one day I was like, hold on. Because I start talking about internal rate of return. Said, oh, how do I, yes, there's nothing I can do. There's going to be always cost and fees on an IUL.
Yeah.
But on their side too, cost of insurance on the term policy and cost and fees under mutual funds. It's a lot of money the clients are not going to get on the retirement side.
Yeah.
A drag.
Yeah. I'm glad that you said it. I wanted to hear it said in a place where people weren't shouting over you or trying to, play peekaboo with the truth. I just wanted to ask about that.
But if you see it on in my TikTok, I did a couple of videos. I don't know if you heard it from their side, but not on my side. But on my side, you can hear it. And there's people on the panel. There are clients on the panel. There are other people, which I love about what I do now is that, Julian, you came on board. We don't work together. We're not in the same agency, but we have one goal specific, which is education and help our clients. That's it. Yep. So I got people in my panel that are in GFI, Expeer, independent. They're clients too, so they can actually see it from their point. We can see from the point of view too. And that's when that video that I did, one of the clients actually put 6 figures into whole life and IUL. And he's the one who was doing it. You didn't know this? A third of your fees is your cost of insurance. You never saw that happening. And that's when everything blew up. And a lot of people say, Pedro, thank you, because that was it was a different point of view that we never thought about.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to criticize a $300 a month strategy and say cost of insurance is high, take a $300 a month strategy and you're, only 200 is what we're talking about with hold on, wait a minute. We're still talking the same $300. The same $300 a month is going into the strategy, and you conveniently don't want to look at what a third of it costs. That's crazy.
Julian, can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
And it's going to be a little bit controversial.
Uh-oh.
No, you're going to be fine. If a client comes to you and say, what do you think is more efficient for the client? Not efficient. What do you think the client's going to be better off with $300? A permanent product or buy term and invest?
It depends on the client, honestly. I mean, it's what we've been talking about.
As a blanket statement.
Time. Oh, blanket statement? With an IUL for sure, especially because for me, term terminates. Most 99% of term policies are going to terminate. And we can't dictate whether or not this client is not going to get a health issue before it terminates. You don't know when a policy, if the person's going to qualify for another term policy, or if they're going to financially qualify, because that's another thing people don't take into account. Just because someone can afford something now doesn't mean that they can afford it when they're 60 at the higher premium. Or, there's so many different factors, as you know. At the end of the day, with an IUL, you can structure an IUL however you want. It's the Build-A-Bear of life insurance. If somebody wants to have something structured a certain way and last the rest of their life, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can do that. And then when you're talking fees and stuff, a third of that is not going towards. It's not going towards.
If you understand the policy, it's never going to be a third of your premiums for sure. We've been talking about this, Matt and I, and same principle, same idea. If I do $300 on an IUL and $300 on your strategy and buy term and invest, $200 a month into a Roth IRA, is it going to retire you? Answer, no. You're not going to have enough to retire. Hold on. you're going to be able to retire for 5 to 10 years. And on your 11th, you're going back to work. Because people ask me this, Pedro, can I retire with $50,000? Yes, for a year. And then you go back to work. So same thing, $200 is not going to get you full retirement. And now you're going to have to go back to work and no coverage. So your next generation has to start from scratch, or actually worse than that, because they're going to have to come up with $10,000 or $20,000 for a funeral. So you become an expense to your family. Whereas if you put $300 on an IUL, is it going to retire you? Heck no. You're going to have less money available for retirement than you would on your brokerage account, but you can stop making payments right there, and the policy will last forever. And now the next generation can start doesn't have to start from scratch. It has a head start. You didn't make it on your own, but you help your next generation not to start from the scratch like you did. So I think middle America is going to be better off with the IUL, not for accumulation. Know which one's going to have the biggest number. That's not the goal. We're talking about preservation, wealth transfer. Better off with an IUL than your mutual fund.
That was that was fire.
No, you did the same thing. Thank you.
So, premium financing. I got a couple more questions, and then we're good. So, do you utilize or recommend premium financing? Pretty much using loans to pay premiums, or do you view that as too risky in the current interest rate environment?
I've never done a premium finance case. Usually banks don't like IULs for premium finance. They go more for whole life guarantee security. I think I've heard they're opening now to IULs, but they're not a fan of IULs with premium finance. I haven't met the right client for that specific strategy, and especially how interest rates been so volatile in the past 3 years. I wouldn't recommend it, but this is my blinders view I don't know.
I got you.
I'm not.
Thank you for the honest answer.
Yeah,
I hate how so many people just want to say anything. So, WFG versus PHP. Both organizations came from similar roots. Do you view PHP as an ally in the fight against traditional brokerages, or are they a direct competitor?
Oh, allies. I was on the live earlier today with Melissa. I admire PHP. There's Melissa. She's on PHP. I know.
I'd have to see her. I would know who she is if I saw her face.
100%.
Know who she was. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Anyways, there's one thing that I admire about PHP. No other agency does it like they do. They don't confront. They don't debate. They're always like happy. Like I said this. You guys are like smoked every time. You're so peace and love for everyone. You don't debate. You don't hate. You're always just teaching. Israel, the guy from PHP, I mean, his kids are the best. There's always
hilarious.
And there people try to attack him. And he's like, yeah, I see your point, but dude, how do you do it? It has to be a training in PHP, because I've never seen someone from PHP attacking or debating or being toxic on social media. So there has to be a training from the agency itself. They're not here. You don't hear them going on lives. Those only this Melissa girl, she talks a lot about Primerica, but on the educational side, if you're going to get a policy from there, I mean, you're not going to live in benefits. Try to get living benefits. But that's the only thing as far as she goes. She doesn't, dude, I mean, I love it. So I know. I see them as my allies, just like I see you as my allies. I see GFI as my ally. I see Expedia as my ally. Your winnings have nothing to do with mine, brother.
There's
Your
enough
winnings have nothing
for everybody.
to do with mine.
Yes,
That's
an abundance.
Everyone.
That's an abundance mindset. A lot of people don't have it.
Yeah.
That's noble. So, okay, as far as the exposer end game, what is the ultimate goal of your content? Do you want Primerica to change its model, or are you looking to recruit their unhappy agents, or what's your goal there?
None of the two. I don't think they're gonna change, but now I see that they're more careful with what they say, because they know that I'm coming behind and I'm gonna fix what they're saying, and and I'm going to expose them if they're saying something that is not true. Stay in your lane, educate about your product, educate about investments. That's all you're going to do. Don't talk about my product, because now you're going to find me and I'm going to dismantle everything you say, and I'm going to expose you just like I've done with every RVP in Primerica, all the loud voices of Primerica and TikTok. There's a video about every one of them, because they don't know what they're talking about. So my goal is education. Let's forget about the lies that they're saying. This is not as bad. Always try to find the what's right for the client all times. So I don't think they're going to change, but I think that we can change. And Julian, conversations lately on TikTok, especially outside of them, they don't come to our lives anymore because they know they're going to get exposed. One thing. And second of all, they're in a bubble now. When they do a video and you see the comments, it's the same people from the same company. They're not attracting new agents and they're not attracting new clients. It's just themselves talking to each other. So while you do a video, you're going to see people from different agencies. Thank you for the education. Thank you for the exposing. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you for now I know. Same thing with me. The amount of messages that I get every time I do an exposing video for lies, because people like you and me, we started at some point, and then we try to do this thing on TikTok, and then this piranhas come and attack, and you have no defense. You're brand new, and all these people telling you lies and calling you all sorts of names, and no defense. Not anymore. I got you.
Good for you. Good
That's
on
my
you.
main thing.
Heck yeah.
That's
Well,
what I try to do.
Pedro, tell everybody where they can find you. Plug whatever you want. Anything you're selling, anything you want them to join, where they can find you, all of that.
TikTok. When my new name is All Insurance Guy on TikTok. Also, the tagline is Primerica Exposer, Primerica.exposer. And same thing on Instagram and all social medias. It's the same thing. It's my name, Pedro Villarroel, All Insurance Guy. That's what I try to do. I don't cross the line. I stay in my lane, which is life insurance, and I try to help you with any product that you may need. See what your goal is. Let me help you by reaching your goal. I'm gonna get paid. Don't worry about that. I'm gonna get paid, not by you, by the agent, but I will do what's best for you.
Nice. I agree with that. And is there anyone you want to shout out? Anyone you want to say hi to or anything?
You, brother. Shout outs to you. Thank you for. I told you this. One of the reasons I started doing what you're doing, what I'm doing, is because of you. I saw you doing it the right way, trying to help people out, try to impart education so you can make a more informed decision. You're gonna do you're gonna do whatever you want to do, but make an informed decision where you want to go and the products that you want to get. And don't listen just to me. Just go around and seek for yourself. So thank you, brother, for doing that. I got a few people that I'm really proud of share the same industry with, and all of you guys. You know that you're more than welcome on my TikTok and in my world, my TikTok world and live, because we're here trying to change lives, one client at a time.
Absolutely. Well, other than that, y'all know where to reach him. Please check out his content. It is very good. It's authentic and it's straightforward. Try to debunk it. The stuff he says is accurate. So other than that, do all the YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, follow. And until next time, don't blame the leads.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.